Right then, so that's that. So we talked about national.
But I wanted to know, like, the mind.
What about it?
Where does the mind fit in to, I mean, you're talking about, and this was something I suspected, because it's something else that I think is connected when people talk about, the people write up questions on Facebook about the body. I said, well, you know, it depends on what you think the body is. You know, when people were saying certain things that the physical body, Joe Waxman was saying the physical body certainly doesn't go on. I said, well, it depends what you think the physical body is. I didn't really go into it, but you're talking about now two physical bodies, which I've never heard you talk about before. There's
Right.
the physical body,
There's a
and there's the spiritual physical
There's
body.
a physical mineral body or physical chemical body, which is the one we see with our physical eyes. But that's like a gesture, what I call by the well, Steiner said this. The physical body that we see with, the physical chemical body that we see with our physical eyes is a gesture by the mineral kingdom that we're in the presence of the human being. We don't actually see the human being at all, and not its spiritual physical body either.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is, and it's a
Gesture.
powerful healing thought. It really is. And of course it counteracts Ahriman right up the wazoo. You know?
But
Because
where is
that's,
the mind? The mind is a part of the spiritual physical body, or is it the
no,
part of
it's
all
part of
three?
the mind. The mind is essentially the mind is, it's actually part of the etheric body. And the etheric body is the physical brain itself is on its decline. This is an important point. Under the Ahrimanic influence, the physical brain and the physical earth is on its decline. And there will be no joy found in nature as time goes on because the earth is dying unless we fill our thoughts with spiritual content derived from studying Steiner. There will be no joy in physical beauty, external beauty at all. He said, now these lectures, this book here, okay, The Incarnation of Ahriman. He says in there that, and this was, he gave those lectures right at the end of the First World War, 1919. He said this catastrophe that we've just gone through is only the beginning of many hundreds of years of catastrophe and destruction that is coming about because humanity will not take up spiritual knowledge to replace the intellectual knowledge, which has served us really well up until now. I mean, you know, when you look around, high-density video camera, cars, electricity, heating. We have material comfort, but it's not enough. Everybody, of course, that's getting worse. And that's another point about the machinations of Ahriman that indicate he's making preparations for his incarnation. The control of the social culture by the financial sphere. He said this in 1919. He said, all the rulers of the world are nothing but henchmen for the financial banking system. And of course, that's very evident today. I mean, very evident.
What, will you say that again, please?
All the rulers of the world, he said, you have to recognize all the rulers, and this is an indication of Ahriman's coming preparation for his incarnation, is all the rulers of the world, no matter what country they belong to, are henchmen for the banking financial world. And isn't that true?
Cora, if his influence is so strong for all this time to be creating all these preparations, what could he do as an incarnation in the human being that could be worse?
Oh, you wait until I tell you that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
part two.
Okay.
Okay, another indication, shallow reading of the Gospels, you know, taking them as, the fact of the matter is we don't have the true Gospels in front of us. The Aramaic Greek translations are not available. And so we have a distorted Gospels. Our editorials have been taking place over the years so that the meaning of the words has been lost. So we have to amplify and deepen our understanding of the Gospels through spiritual knowledge. And Steiner has like 14 lecture series on the Gospels, so you need to read those. I've read them 2-3 times each. I still don't get them all by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, this is deep stuff. I mean, really seriously deep.
What was he working from?
Huh?
What was he working from? He was just working from
Who?
the knowledge, Steiner. He was working from the knowledge that he was receiving spiritually. He didn't
No,
have
but
the
he was-
proper translations either, or he
No,
did?
he gives you the proper translations. Now and there. He doesn't do the entire Bible, but he says, for instance,
But when you're talking about these Aramaic Greek translations that are not available to us, were they at some point available to anyone?
yeah, sure they were. And of course the church fathers, the Holy Roman Catholic Church took things in hand and made editorials. So that, for instance, when the shepherds are out there tending their flocks at the birth of Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, and the angels appear before them, in the Bible it says, glad tidings of goodwill to all men. That's not what it says. Glad tidings of goodwill to and peace on earth to all people of goodwill. It's a totally different interpretation. And then Steiner gives a lot of different examples like that in his, but of course he didn't translate the entire Bible from the Greek Aramaic, but he does specifically say, we simply don't have the actual Bible in front of us because it's become editorialized.
Well, he says we don't have it, but what is but you're saying he had it.
No, he saw clairvoyantly.
Okay, that's what I was asking you
No, but
before.
he-
Was
yeah.
he getting it from his spiritual knowledge?
Right, he had the clairvoyant perceptions to such a depth and degree that he could actually read the Akashic Chronicle, which is a record of everything that's ever taken place, as the writers of the Gospels were writing their Gospels. That's what his source is.
Okay.
All right, so he's got lecture series on the Gospel of St. Luke, we've got Matthew, Mark, Luke, St. John into relation to the other Gospels, the Apocalypse, and he wrote his own Gospel. Okay, Steiner wrote his own Gospel because he's a clairvoyant and he's a seer and he's of the same, if not higher stature, spiritually speaking in terms of his development, than those writers of the Gospels. And he wrote the 5th Gospel, which is probably the warmest, most human of all the Gospels that's ever been put out there. And it's really a wonderful thing to read. Because he talks about Jesus of Nazareth as a human being. It's really interesting in what happened to him. In terms of, Zarathustra, And Buddha's in the whole story. Buddha's in this Gospel of St. Luke. You would never know that if you didn't read Steiner's exegesis on it and description of what that Gospel actually says. You would never know that Buddha was involved in the birth of Christ. But he was. As well as Zarathustra, the great Persian initiate of the great ancient Persian culture. And this is very, very inspiring material, to say the very least. Okay, so what
So
else?
he's the same as Zarathustra, or is that correct?
It's a title, both the same. See, it's a title, and there have been historical Zoroasters or Zarathrustras after the original one, but it wasn't the same personality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Blood ties are just retrogressive, but we see that going on all the time. All right, what else is there? Shallow reading of the Gospels. Oh yeah, numbers. Ahriman has a field day with numbers. Because, you know, if you look at your own life, we are assaulted by numbers on all sides. I mean, your bank account number, your utility bill, your gas bill, your telephone bill, your electric bill, your credit card number, your license plate, your driver's license. I mean, you're just
Passwords for
assailed
every
by
single
numbers.
thing.
Huh?
Your age.
Yeah, everything, it's just numbers. Statistics up the wazoo, and you can make statistics say whatever you want them to say.
And they all add up to nothing,
Right, the
like
great
Neil
line.
says.
Mr. Neil Young. Red means run, son, and numbers add up to nothing. And of course, Arthur Love in Lee on Forever, Arthur Lee on Love's Forever Changes. If you count in numbers, count me out. Right. And of course, that great TV series, if you ever, it was a British one, done by Patrick McGowan. He directed it, wrote it, acted in it, produced it, everything, the whole 9 yards. And it was curtailed. The funding was curtailed by ABC and television after, in England, after 9 episodes. It's called The Prisoner,
Oh, yeah.
and it's an amazing, he says, and he's called Number 3.
Yeah.
Is that I am not a number! Or as Dylan put it, not another accident statistic. Okay, so all those things, and so it's plain to see that Ahriman is making extreme, shall we say, inroads into the human psyche, humans, shall we say, gamut, to make human beings, shall we say, most suitable to be molded into Ahrimanic beings. There's no question. So you ask, how do we know what is his kind of like final coup de grace? After he's incarnated, he's going to do this. He's going to perform one of the most stupendous spiritual feats ever. He is going to make everybody who wants it, and people will want it, clairvoyant. Without them making any effort to be clairvoyant. But he will only give them a certain snapshot of the spiritual world to each individual, and this will be a different snapshot of the spiritual world.
Kind of like the blind man and the elephant.
Right. So everybody will think that they have the true picture of the spiritual world, and they will only have a partial picture, but they think there's the only right one. So it will bring about more conflict between people.
Why does he have to do that in the human form? Why can't he just do that from...
Because he needs to be here among us in order to do it.
He does?
Yes.
Why?
Because we have to want it. If you don't know of his existence, right, you're going to meet him.
So he's going to be very charismatic.
Oh yeah, and it might be a woman too. I wouldn't be
That was what I was going to ask too. I was thinking that as I was driving here with all these spiritual beings, it kind of sounds like all the angels and devils and everybody is male in the Steiner thing. Although you did tonight mention Mary
Sophia.
being Isis and Sophia and all that.
Right, because the thing is, you see, is up until now, all the see, everybody's incarnated many times between the inception of the earth and today, and we've not had all the time one sexual manifestation. It's changed. Sometimes we've been women incarnation, and sometimes we've had male incarnation, but the predominant ones hitherto